of happy, joyous connections, being aligned with divine life as it flows in and through and as us. We are full of fresh, new, vitally aliveness each moment, and we live from this center with delight and wisdom. This is the truth of our being. And turning to the prayer requests and the desires in your heart, I bless each one, knowing that they are enfolded in love, peace, ease, and comfort. Each is energized with divine wisdom, and right activity expresses, manifesting in health, joy, compassion, and abundance of life. That life is made whole right now. And I bless the volunteers of today that give of their time and service, for we are recipients of their loving consciousness and are so blessed. And this service is blessed as we open our hearts and minds to receive a greater understanding and experience of that divine living in us. The music, the message, it is all good. So I give thanks and embrace this truth of our divine heritage with great gratitude for our aliveness and our connection with the divine wisdom, for we are ever wise in spirit. So releasing this word with joy and confidence, knowing it is already so in the mind of God, we join together and declare, and so it is.
Get ready, my soul. I'm diving in. Get ready, my soul. I'm diving in to the deepest kind of love, to the sweetest kind of life. Get ready, my soul. 'Cause here I go, deeper, deeper, deeper than I've ever been before. Here I go, closer, closer, closer to my sacred source. Here I go, deeper, deeper, deeper than I've ever been before. Here I go, closer, closer, closer to my sacred source. Get ready, my soul.
Good morning.
Good morning.
At the bottom bottom of the stairs to the left is a prayer chest. If there's anything concerning you, you have some worries, some concerns, something that you would like a little more oomph with, please put your concerns in the prayer chest, and the practitioner will be doing affirmative prayer on your behalf this week. The saddest aspect of life right now is that science gathers knowledge faster than society gathers wisdom. Isaac Asimov. And from Ernest Holmes, should all the wisdom of the universe be poured over us, we should yet receive only that which we are ready to understand.
Thank you, Lou. Wow, that first quote really lines up with the message today. Okay, so for the whole year of 2022, our spiritual focus is abundant living. So we're studying all of the areas that we can recognize abundance in our life. And so our May focus is abundant wisdom. So this week we're going to look at wisdom and knowledge. So that's the focus for today, and this whole month we'll talk about wisdom, which I thought was the perfect theme for next week, which is Mother's Day. So we'll be talking about wisdom then as well. So in looking for this theme, I struggled a little bit to find videos of people talking about wisdom or giving messages from the pulpit about wisdom itself. Now, there was kind of a lot of the wisdom of, tithing, the wisdom of something else. It was the wisdom of things, but I actually wanted to talk about knowledge and wisdom in particular. So, today I did find a video, and we're going to mix this together. We're going to have a philosophy lesson today. So it's a little bit different than just a message from a minister. And I want to start by sharing this video that I found. And after the video, I would like to share some new thought ideas or a new thought perspective about wisdom. And then to finish, we'll move into some spiritual practice with some music today. So we'll do all of that. And the first thing is the video. So I found this guy, his name is Peter Boland, and his YouTube channel is Peter Boland TV. And so he has a show. I didn't watch it all, I just watched this one session, and it's called Bringing Wisdom to Life. And I thought, oh, that sounds good. And he's taught philosophy, comparative religion, and world mythology at Southwestern College for 30 years, and is a columnist for Unity magazine. I thought that was good. And the author of the upcoming book, I don't know if it's upcoming anymore, I didn't look at the date, but 7 Stone Path, an everyday journey to wisdom. So I liked what he has to say. This particular video is wisdom versus knowledge, and he's going to give us kind of a philosophy lesson to this. Now, when he's talking about a class that he is going to be teaching, but he's talking about a philosophy class that he's teaching. And what he's talking about here is really relevant to our philosophy, which we think of our philosophy. Science of mind is more of a philosophy, a way of living, a way of life, than it is an actual religion, because you could follow these spiritual principles and still be in, do whatever religion you would like. So they're just spiritual principles of philosophy. So don't get caught up in when he's talking about a class. Just think of it as talking about our church here. So we're going to start off right away with him, Peter Boland, and here he is.
What
is the difference between wisdom and knowledge? I think that's an important place to begin in any philosophical inquiry, because the two terms are often confused and conflated, and they're just sort of used interchangeably. And I think an important chore for us here at the beginning of any philosophical study is to focus a little bit on those two words and try to discern the distinctions between them. Look, there's a lot of overlap between the concept of wisdom and the concept of knowledge. They certainly get fuzzy there in the middle, but there is, I think, a meaningful sense in which they are distinct and different. And if we can articulate just a little bit of that together here, I think that'll really help us as we move into our study, not only of Asian philosophy, but really of any philosophical tradition from wherever in the world it came. So, I don't know, what's a quick way to start this off? Isn't it often the case that knowledge is a collection of facts, explanations of how things work, theories. So there's theoretical knowledge, and there's also practical knowledge. The Greeks already in their early philosophical explorations discerned the distinction between those two kinds of knowledge. Theoretical knowledge is things like, what are the causes of the American Civil War? Well, there's this, and there's this, and there's this, or economic theories, or, a theory is like the theory of evolution, is a sound, well-reasoned, with lots of evidence, explanation of how things work. That's a really core pillar in what we even mean by the word knowledge. And then there's practical knowledge, which is different, right? How to make an omelet, how to do something, how to perform successful heart surgery, how to play the violin. That's a kind of knowledge too, isn't it? Where you are able to behave in a certain way and master a certain set of actions and skills. Surfing or whatever. That's a kind of knowledge too, isn't it? So theoretical knowledge, practical knowledge. But what is wisdom? Wisdom seems to kind of float off over here. It's a little different. So knowledge is facts that you can get from books, from practice, from teachers. But wisdom is a little different. Wisdom is the application of knowledge. Wisdom is something you do, right? It's not something you know. Does one have wisdom only when one has answers to all of the big philosophical questions? I don't know if that's really what we mean by wisdom. And does wisdom come from experience? So I think that's what a lot of people say. Well, knowledge can come from books or from watching a video or, taking a lesson with a teacher. That's how you get knowledge. But wisdom, you have to live through it. Like, you don't really know what love is, what romantic love is, until you've been in love and had your heart broken and all that stuff. Then you're like, oh, now I know what's at stake. Now we know what the highs and lows are of this thing that all the songs are about, romantic love. So you have to live through it, right? I think that's what we mean when we say wisdom comes from experience. Whereas you don't have to have experience to have knowledge of something. I can learn a lot about the moon without ever having been there, right? But I don't know what you know about love if you've never been in love. So wisdom has that experiential component that maybe knowledge doesn't necessarily need. But on the other hand, just because you have a bunch of experience doesn't mean you automatically are wise. Otherwise all old people would be wise. And is that in fact the case? I don't think so. Sometimes we even talk about, wisdom from the mouths of babes, children having sometimes deeper and richer insights into things than adults are because they haven't been so acculturated and calcified over with indoctrination. There's naive, natural wisdom. Look, as you can see, knowledge and wisdom are very confusing ideas, but maybe if we approach it this way, it might help. Let's ask a different question. Just in your mind, imagine wise person. Kind of invent a character in your imagination of a wise woman, a wise man, a wise person. What would they be like? What are the qualities of a wise person? Let's just start listing what some of their qualities might be. Insightful. Calm. You wouldn't imagine an agitated, panicking person to be wise, would you? Wouldn't you attribute a kind of calmness to the characteristic of wisdom? Would a wise person be kind? Would they be compassionate? Would they be, I guess we already said calm, would they be at ease? Relatively free of anxiety? Would they be accepting of the changing conditions around them? Or would they always be angry and resentful and full of resistance to everything that's happening around them? I think as we sit with this question, what are the qualities of a wise person? That starts to give us a little bit of a crack in the door into a better understanding of what wisdom might be. And now it starts to become clearer that wisdom is different than knowledge. Wisdom isn't having all the answers. Wisdom isn't a set of correct ideas. Wisdom is a stance. Wisdom is a way of being in the world. Wisdom is the embodiment of equanimity, evenness. And yes, knowledge and wisdom overlap because wise people would have some knowledge. They would know how, remember we talked about practical knowledge, they would know how to be a human being. Maybe that for me is the most attractive definition of wisdom. Wisdom is the art of being human, the art of living well. And I think rooting back to the ancient Greeks, particularly I'm thinking of Plato and Aristotle, I think certainly we would get the portrait there that the wise person is the person who is not wrapped up in error. So they don't believe in a bunch of lies and illusions. They believe in the truth. But wisdom is strangely content-free. Again, it's a way of being in the world, not having the answers to everything. And as Plato portrays for us in his earliest dialogues, the Apology, the Credo, where he's talking about his teacher Socrates. And he portrays Socrates as sort of the ideal philosopher. And what Socrates is famous for is admitting when he doesn't know something. He says those three magical words, I don't know. Wise people aren't arrogant and go around claiming to know things which they do not know. And boy, are we going to see that, particularly in the Taoist tradition. I think it's important for us to at least tease apart these ideas of knowledge and wisdom, even if we can't have perfect clarity on what wisdom means. There is a real sense that in our Asian philosophical studies particularly, we are going to live inside this question all semester long. Because here's the bottom line. The word philosophy, and we're going to take this up in our next video. The word philosophy from the Greek tradition, in English, when we use the word philosophy, it means the love of wisdom, not the love of knowledge. So ultimately, the sciences are about developing knowledge. Philosophy is about developing wisdom. And as we've already suggested, wisdom is not a bunch of facts. Wisdom is an ability to be whole, to be human, to admit when we are wrong, but to have a certain sense of equanimity or evenness. And I would even add on an ethical component, that wisdom is the embodiment of compassion. Isn't that what all the great teachers want us to step up into? To treat people the way we want to be treated. Jesus, Confucius, Mohammed, Buddha, Lao Tzu, all the great sages, known and unknown, of all the traditions named and unnamed, leave us this one perennial piece of wisdom. Be the presence of truth, love, and kindness in your sphere, in your family, where you work, in this class, in the world in which we live, to become the embodiment of the values that we hold dear. Maybe wisdom is that. Wisdom is becoming who we were born to be. So we're going to toy with all of these questions and possibilities. And as you can see, at the core of our work in our study of Asian philosophy is going to be this idea of transformation, of not becoming something that I'm not, but becoming who I was born to be. In Hinduism, we'll call it our dharma, our purpose. That life gets sweeter and sweeter the more we forget selfishness and the more we remember our interconnectedness and our unity.
All right. Yeah, it was very interesting. And so I'm going to start here with a quote by Sandra Carey. It says, "Never mistake knowledge for wisdom. One helps you make a living. The other helps you make a life." And so in this, he spoke of some of the qualities of wisdom: insightful, calm, kind, compassionate, at ease, and accepting. He said wisdom is a way of being in the world. He called it the art of being human, or the art of living well. I really liked how he worded those things. An ability to be whole. Wisdom is the embodiment of the values that we hold so dear. Wisdom is becoming who you were born to be.
Yes.
Isn't that fascinating? So I am going to share a little bit. This is the workbook that we used for class called Basic Principles of the Science of Mind by Dr. Frederick Bales. And so I want to share just a little portion, and it's called Infinite Wisdom. So we're going to hear what Dr. Bales has to say about this. And he starts out by talking about infinite intelligence, which for him is a different word for God, or the presence, the one, okay? Infinite intelligence. And he's talking about that this infinite intelligence shows itself as a wisdom manifesting not only within man, but throughout the universe. It shows itself as a wisdom. This activity of wisdom is seen in the orderly march of the planets around the sun, in the movement of other tremendous galaxies around other vaster centers. We know the atom to be a miniature solar system. We find a curious mathematical exactness in the structure of crystals and cells. We see a wisdom that knows how to build a perfect human body in approximately 9 months, fully equipped to start its earthly life cycle, even though the mother hasn't the slightest idea of the way to build a single cell in that child. This wisdom lies deep in the mental makeup of every soul born into the world. It knows how to keep the heart beating with the mathematical regularity. It heals a cut by a mysterious chemical process that man does not know how to duplicate. It heals broken bones by arranging for the outpouring of a bone cement that welds the broken ends together. The doctor merely sets the bones. The infinite wisdom welds it together. As this speaks to us of an all-knowing thinker, all of this speaks to us as a all-knowing thinker behind the universe and operating through the universe. Observant men of all ages have noticed it. Some have called it universal intelligence. Others have used the name God. In the science of mind, it is usually called infinite wisdom or the infinite healing presence. The chief purpose is to study the nature of this wisdom and the ways in which man can cooperate with it for the healing of any sort of wrong action in body or environment. It is the power within you. The student will find that he need have no superstitious awe in approaching infinite wisdom, for its action is as definite and as natural as the action of electricity or of aerodynamics. When one learns how to align himself with its working principles, he can draw into his life those things that he formerly thought to be accessible only to luckier persons. I'm going to read a little more out of that in a minute. And I also want to share in my favorite little Charles Fillmore book, The Revealing Word. So Charles Fillmore is a co-founder of the Unity religion or philosophy. And he has this little book where it's like a dictionary, and I can look up words and I can see what his meaning of these words are. And so I looked up wisdom, and he's got intuitive knowing, spiritual intuition. Wisdom is the voice of God within as the source of our understanding. He says this knowing capacity transcends intellectual knowledge. Wisdom and divine understanding, these attributes come from the spirit of Christ within us, that Christ consciousness within us. The price that we must pay for the conscious attainment of divine wisdom and understanding, are y'all dying to know? The price we must pay is the letting go of the personal self with its limited beliefs. No surprise to you, right? The price we must pay, right? Letting go of the personal self and our limiting beliefs. So we are going to have a little bit of spiritual practice today. And the practice that we're going to use is spiritual mind treatment or affirmative prayer. And I am going to take a treatment out of the workbook. So at the end of each chapter, we had questions to go over, and he had, sorry, let me find this here. He had treatments written up that we could use, and he encouraged us to write our own treatments. Whoops, that's not the right one. So I am going to use a treatment. It's a very short treatment. And remember, this is not Ernest Holmes, this is Dr. Frederick Bales. And in his treatments, interesting, he has 7 steps, not 5, but very close to the same thing. They were using the same information. He just added a couple steps that Ernest Holmes did not. So I'd like to offer this by Dr. Frederick Bales. And I'm going to ask that we prepare first to receive our prayer using song. So if you could just relax, and we'll open up into prayer. I'll do the treatment, and we're going to finish with song as well. Take some deep breaths. infinite intelligence, that divine presence within me right now, the one truth of who I am, which is wisdom in action right now. This day I seek the consciousness of the infinite presence, so near and warm that it seems closer than breathing and nearer than hands and feet. It is a steadying influence that says, lo, I am with you always. The infinite companion is mine, right here and right now. I draw inwardly upon the unseen currents of power that flood my entire being. Infinite wisdom is my inner teacher and becomes a lamp unto my feet and a light unto my path. The infinite healing presence steals silently throughout my entire body and through all my affairs. It knows nothing of ugliness, for it is beauty. It knows nothing of illness, for it is perfect health. It knows nothing of limitation, for it is abundance. My body, my business, my home are saturated with the presence this day. And it is so, and so I let it be.
I fall down upon the ground, press my face upon the earth, till my heart rises over my head. As the wheat it bows down low, when the autumn winds they blow, I kneel before the one I love. Find me grateful, find me thankful, find me on my knees. Find me dreaming, find me singing, find me lost in grace. Like the dust that was first held in a garden where we knelt, pulled us face to face again, till the breath out of life filled the depths of my soul, till all I know is I've been found by love. Find me grateful, find me thankful, press my face against the earth till my heart it rises over my head. As the wheat it bows down low when the autumn winds they blow, I kneel before the one I love. Find me grateful, find me thankful, find me on my knees, find me dreaming, find me singing, find me lost in grace. Find me grateful, find me thankful, find me on my knees, find me dreaming, find me singing, find me lost in grace. Find me grateful, find me thankful, find me on my knees, find me dreaming, find me singing, find me lost in grace. Find me lost in grace. Find me lost in grace.
Thank you. Thank you so much, David Haas. So I'd just like to finish up here with another reading out of the workbook. It's just a small paragraph. And he's talking about the good practitioner. What makes a good practitioner? And he starts out by saying, and remember that by practitioner, we mean anyone who practices the science of mind. Okay, so a good practitioner is a God-saturated person. A God-saturated person who practices, a God-saturated person forever drawing upon all the abilities of that which saturates him and forever yielding to that which saturates. His power lies not in himself, but in that with which he is in relationship. He whose relationship is closer with the negative will manifest the negative. He whose closer harmonies are with that which is true, honest, just, pure, lovely, and of good rapport will manifest these things. Let's sing, huh?
God, you are every mountain. God, you are every ocean. God, you are every canyon, every inch of earth and sky. God, you are every morning. God, you are every midnight. God, you are every moment, every second of my life. Everything I see, everything I do, everything I am is you. Everything above, everything below, everything I know is you. every sunrise, God you are, every moon God you are, every star shine, every inch of earth and sky, God you are, every springtime, God you are, every snowfall, God you are, every season, every second of my life, everything I see, everything I do, everything I am is you, everything above, everything below, everything I know is you, 'cause you are the very breath I breathe, and your perfect love created me. Everything I see, everything I do, everything I am is you, everything above, everything below, everything I know is you, everything I see, everything I do, everything I am is you, everything above, everything below, everything I know is you, everything I see, everything I do, everything I am is you, everything above, everything below, everything I know is you.
Okay, as the ushers come forth, this is our time to consciously participate in the spiritual practice of the law of circulation. So if you'll take your gift in your hand, and as I align myself with that unlimited abundance of spirit, I gratefully release the abundance I have received, knowing that in doing so, I give as the Spirit gives and receives in continuous supply. And our affirmation,
As I consistently give, I open the way to consistently receive. My abundance is unlimited.
I am sacred love, sacred love, it's all that I am. I am sacred love, it's all that I am. is all that I am.
And these grateful blessings that have been received go forth, blessing our community, our state, our world, as it completes that circle of giving and receiving. And so it is.
So we have all new claiming our good up here. Read that over a little bit. And I thought I had everything done this week, but I didn't. So I did not write up on the paper a little handout of the affirmations and stuff, but I'll have it for you next week. So those of you, because really these affirmations need to be more than just once in church on Sunday. Okay, if you're going to really work with an affirmation, I say do it 400 or 500 times a day. But then I'm an overachiever when it comes to spiritual work. So, but I still think 400 or 500 times is good, because you're going to be thinking something, right? You're going to be thinking something. You might as well be thinking about what you want and the truth of who you really are. Okay? So here we go. We're going to read these straight down as affirmations all together. Here we go. I am filled with the presence of divine wisdom. I have access to the allness of divine mind. I can know everything I need to know. I allow divine wisdom to fill my mind now, and so it is.
I'm in the right place at the right time. I'm just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I'm just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I'm just where I'm supposed to be. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here.